We'll call to order the November 1st Committee of the Whole meeting. Clerk, please call the roll.
Gustafson, here, Dean,
Here, and I can hear you.
Malco,
Here.
Petty, here, Block,
Here.
done.
Here.
Is there a motion, item 3.1, is there a motion to approve the minutes from the October 18th, 2022 Committee of the Whole meeting?
So moved. Second.
Motion by trustee Fox, second by trustee Malcolm. Any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Block,
Yes.
Malco,
Yes.
Keen,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Petty,
Yes.
done.
Yes.
Motion approves. Thank you. Item 4, public comment. We have no one left in the building. Anyone online?
One person online, but I don't see their hand raised.
We'll move into new business. Item 5.1, discussion of the working drafts of the Village of Roscoe budget for fiscal year 2023. I gave you a hard copy of a second draft. It's not really a second draft. This is 1.1 really. I'm going to quickly just go through the 5 or 6 lines that changed it all. They are highlighted in green in that column. And then we'll bring the conversation back to some of to any questions, anything you've digested in the 2 weeks you've had it, and then talk of projects and anything else. The only thing on the revenue side that we changed was the projected revenue from the franchise fees from Rock Energy. They've been trending significantly upward, so much so that right now, if you, I think we are looking at an additional contribution to the police pension fund of $70,000. The Rock Energy franchise fees will flirt with $100,000 this year. And we only commit the first 30,000, 10,000 to future projects, 10,000 to lighting, holiday lighting and decoration, $10,000 to pathway maintenance and repair. The balance going to the police pension fund this year, that or for 2022, that appears to be $70,000. Anyway, I just adjusted. I think we had $75,000, but I adjusted up to 90. Proving to be that or more.
3 at 10,000 for that, right? 3 different funds.
Yeah, there's 3.
Right.
The first 30,000, $10,000 each times 3 is assigned revenue, and then I guess the remainder of it is assigned. I don't know if that's the right term, but the board took action to contribute the balance to police pension fund.
Okay, 10 to bike paths, maintenance, 10 to holiday lighting. What was the other 10?
It's a commitment to future power infrastructure projects. If the village, the nature of our franchise agreement is such that if we dictate that we want, if they're running new power somewhere, we want it to be underground.
Oh,
We may be obligated to pay for the difference between aerial and underground. And we assigned $10,000. So I think it's $70,000 so far. In there assigned to a future participation.
Sure.
There's such a project.
Is there a number that we can see that in?
No. It's not held in a separate account. It's just general fund money that's assigned revenue. So I can ask Steve the best way to illustrate that to you. Maybe it's probably just in the form of an annual reporting to you.
I'm just curious if
Yeah.
we were tracking it or if it was just a tally in somebody's head.
excuse
I know we've
me a
never
second.
done it, so.
But if we wanted to assign it to something else instead of the power infrastructure, and we wanted to assign more to bike paths in any one year, that would require just simply a resolution doing that.
Right. I didn't revise it yet. I just got an email now. I put an asterisk next to on page 2, consulting 5240. I am.
Oh, before we go on, I'm sorry, it wasn't fast enough. Under revenue, I'm under interest income. I know that bank interest rates are up, the Fed is raising rates all the time, but it seems like really quite a leap from 12,000 to 80,000 interest income.
It certainly does. That's a good question for Steve. It seems like a tremendous leap. Seems like a suspicious leap, doesn't it?
Yeah, thanks, Carol.
Page 2, consulting. I do think that it's time that we'll probably be looking for a new website provider.
Thank you.
I don't share the joy in someone's downfall like that, but
No, that's not what I meant.
I don't know about that.
Before
But
that
yes.
happened, I didn't like the website. I'm not celebrating his time. Oh, that's a tragedy.
I'm gonna switch. I've talked to a couple different providers I have in the past, so I was just revisiting those conversations. I'm gonna strongly recommend going with KMK Media. And we can discuss that in further detail down the road, but they are gonna be my strong recommendation. Pam Maher is the director of KMK Media. We would have some options, and maybe we do both of them for really just a couple $1,000s. They could probably move the site over, and well, for about 2,000, they could probably just move the site over and start hosting it largely as is, sort of take over the existing site. We're going to restructure with a high confidence level in Janelle being capable of being the person to handle our uploading. The services I've requested are essentially hosting and maintenance. And the only thing we would go to the vendor for would be if we needed to change the website, if we were adding a page, revising a page, but not for uploading content, not for uploading minutes, agendas, application forms, even our local news and announcements. We will take that back over and have that be a function of the administrative assistant.
As you engage this company, instead of as one option, taking over the website as it exists, and you ask them to critique it, and if the proposal is
$30,000 is the proposal to build a new website. So perhaps we do both. Perhaps we have them take it over in the interim and it's so that it maintains continuity. And then that is obviously a ballpark estimate, but basically 25 to 30. So I err to the high side of that. So, excuse me, 30 to 35. So I do think we should put, and I think I have now already in information technology contractual, I increased that by $35,000 to indicate construction of a new website. However, the consulting number can go down somewhat because of the change in the relationship and the change in our ask of them. Maybe $900 a year, $75 a month, just in website hosting fees. And then the maintenance program, they can either do hourly at $166 an hour, or they they do a seasonal maintenance package for $2,500, which I think in the first year we should just take and evaluate against the hours, but that's up to you. Anyway, that even with the hosting fee, and if we took the $2,500 annual maintenance package, that'd be $3,400 versus the $10,200 we're paying. So that's $6,700 reduction in consulting.
Have you checked with any other?
Yes. Thank you.
She's
As
worked,
I said at the start, I spoke to 3 or 4 different companies, but yeah.
she's worked for the village before.
Actually,
She did our branding.
I'm using hers. You haven't made the decision to hire her. I am just saying that I've spoken with a number of firms.
Yeah, she did our branding way back when. She helped us when we were doing way back when, trying to brand ourselves.
Okay, I didn't know that. She didn't mention that.
stuff. Yeah,
She might not remember. I just have an association, a social association with Kane and Company. Have you?
No, I've never heard of Canning Company.
Would you reach out to them?
I'll look them up and reach out to them. They're local or not?
Local.
Kane and Company? Sure.
With a K or a C?
See. And they do work for, I know, Green Fire.
The Scouts did our first one, maybe they could do this one.
Nope.
Can we give you ideas for the new website?
Of course, I've always asked for
Like
ideas.
a first page, stuff like that.
Yes, please. That would be, I'm sure that if we're building a new website, there will be some workshopping that goes along with it, meeting with the vendor, whomever that might end up being, to get
If they've worked
our
with
wishes.
municipalities, I'm sure they have that in mind.
I've spoken with a company called Jumping Trout, who's done some regional websites of significance. I can't remember. I have them all in my office. Grab Spencer. And then a national firm. I saw they had done some other municipalities' website. They're not a local firm. They're some national firm. They were gonna be super pricey. So 3 locals, and I suspect I've only solicited a price quote for budgetary purposes from the one from KMK. If I had to guess of the 3 locals, not taking Kane and Company into account, I would guess they are maybe right in the middle. Although I was surprised that it was as reasonable as it was, to be honest.
Yeah,
So within this 5950 information technology contractual 71,000. I see what you have as a ballpark figure or website. Is this where tonight's approval of the new vendor?
Correct.
And then the additional for hosting the cloud, is that included in that, or would that be?
I don't, right now, I roughly put it into consulting, Carol, but that's where I had Astute's number, so I just saw that as a direct substitute, but I don't care where it ends up. I took the rebuild of the website itself as an IT project. And for now, I placed it into that number went from 36,200 to 71,200 by adding 35,000 to it. That is where the Premier Technologies contract will go as well. Yeah, and so it's just a matter of where right now, Astute's, when we pay Astute lives in the 5240 line item. So that's where I'm indicating a reduction of 6,700.
All right, going further down this, office furnishings, 10,000.
Mhm.
What is this?
And that's already, so that was an absolute placeholder number based on a thought of perhaps moving Ann into the conference room back there and then putting Joe into Ann's office. But we've been talking about this the last couple of weeks within the back halls. And when I say we, I mean Ann, Joe, Dick Wilder, and I. And our wish is to proceed with setting up a workspace in the conference room for Joe in that bump out area. So we would still maintain a usable conference table in that room. And then Joe having a workspace back in there. Our meeting tomorrow morning with a gentleman who has been historically our furniture provider. He did everything for the police department. And then some of the newer stuff we did shortly after that, the furniture that's in Ann's office right now, Kurt Scribner, Rockwood Office Supply. Just to come meet with us to go over options for new gallery chairs and new workspace offerings for Joe.
So those furnishings will include, or that number will
will.
include something here.
Correct.
And the public art. Is this a placeholder? We do not have a 2-year agreement with this organization, do we?
No, we're not. So we
So,
have to talk about whether that's something we want to engage in again. No question.
well, I'd like to make a proposal regarding public art. Talk about beautifying the entrances to our subdivision.
Mhm.
Once upon a time, Public Works cleared out the entrance to Crystal Hills, and you said that that space would not support vegetation because there wasn't enough, blah, blah, blah. So there could be some kind of public art sculpture there. Hearts, I don't care. Could be something stone, something metal, whatever, and a nice sign, just a suggestion.
Okay.
And Chicory Ridge, both streets, I don't know what that little obelisk is on each of them, but
It
doing.
used to hold an old neighborhood sign.
Oh, okay.
That's
Well-
that's the backing structure of what was once a sign.
Oh, okay. Well, doing something that is really attractive to both of those main streets entering Chicory, I would consider that public art. I'm not talking about just a sign, but just something that is really eye-catching and interesting and grooming that area.
Yeah. The interesting thing on, in Chicory is that in the case of many of our subdivisions, that you're talking about doing something on private property. That's not doesn't mean it can't happen. But the entry boulevard islands are somewhat unique because that's in the public right of way. But almost all of these subdivision signs are in someone's yard
Oh.
that they just inherited or, passed, the original owner inherited it, is passed on. So we have to look at what we install. Whether there's space within the public right of way, which likely there is not, or what's the appropriate treatment of those locations in private property. I'm not rejecting the idea. I love it.
Let's just step them up.
You think the odds are actually something could come out of it?
What's that?
You think the odds are something that actually ever come out of that? We've been working on that since 2011,
Come out of what?
getting some signs up and subdivisions.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's 2011. I don't
Yeah.
realize
Chicory
that.
Ridge.
Odds are very good. We just have to make it happen. Yeah,
It's been discussed numerous times.
yeah.
Well, yeah, amongst us, but I mean,
Yeah,
I
2
thought we
years
were going back
for
to 2011 that we started talking about it for Chicory and
Sure. And I know I've been here since 2018, so.
yeah, so
I know we have.
very long ongoing.
17, I felt it.
I'm making it out to make neighborhood signs a priority, but I do have that somewhere else in here. That's not under public art. I do have new neighborhood
What's
subdivision
what's
signage.
the land purchase?
Absolute placeholder. Land purchase is, I think that we should be mindful. I think that we should appropriate money so that we have ourselves in a position to purchase land should it become available. And I think what largely jumps out to me right now are if there are opportunities along or adjacent to Main Street to facilitate additional surface parking. I don't have anything specific in mind right now. I do not. I just think
I
it's
was gonna bring
wise.
About Main Street,
Mhm.
and I can do it now or later, but to start setting $100,000 aside to buy any property that's on Main Street for
Yeah.
redevelopment
Yeah.
or whatever.
You mean like an old house?
Yep,
Yeah,
any property that's.
I would agree with
That's-
Let's
that's-
market.
That's exactly the reason.
That or, any houses that are along there that, so we can,
yeah.
we want it to be a downtown, so we can have build up, those buildings.
I just upped your ante to 250. It's all, it's the same. That's exactly what.
Does it,
Subdivision.
but does it accrue? So 250 every year, that's what I'm saying is to start accruing money, so. Because if you have 5 properties come available in 1 year, you can only afford maybe 2.
Okay, well, that'd probably be like another resolution of assigning $100,000 a year of general fund
And then put a
restricted
cap
for that use. That's
put a cap on it, like $1 million or whatever.
okay.
And then once we spend it down, we put it back to them.
Well, there's two different. Yes, I like that. I think, and Joe can straighten me out on this. I think we'd have to do both. We could start to accrue money. And I don't want to say a savings account, because when I say savings account, I think that conjures the image of a separate account, a separate place where the money is hidden. It would be an assigned portion of our general fund balance. I think we would still, on any given year, have to appropriate and indicate we're going to spend a certain percentage of that. So let's say we got to a spot down the road where we had $700,000 assigned to buy up houses or properties. You'd still have to indicate on any given year how much, because you're telling the public what you would spend their money on this year.
Right.
You could say, we're going to appropriate all 700,000 of that just in case, or you say we've assigned we've saved $700,000 to that purpose, but each year we're appropriating 250,000 or something like that. Just
Maybe next year we do the 250, we start with the 250 and then after that 100. So it reaches
yeah, but we should think about it.
certain
If we want to make sure that that account grows, that pot of money grows, we should do that. I assume, Joe, is a resolution to assign that revenue for that. purpose.
You pick where you want it to come from or how you want to figure it or. calculate it.
Otherwise, it's just sort of an agreement among the trustees that every year we're going to increase that appropriation by $100,000, but it'd be nice to memorialize that in a resolution, I suppose.
Well, if there is a consensus to have our surplus policy, reserve policy be 4 months instead of 6 months. Those extra dollars of the 2 months can be the beginning of building that pot.
Yeah, seed
And-
money.
Well, that's something else I was gonna bring up too, is, because you were talking originally wanting to have money aside for grant opportunities, stuff like that. I want to see where all the little branches of money are at, like our lighting fund. Obviously, we have a general fund, but there's so many little branches inside of that where money is appropriated. So I'd like to see what account each fund, I guess, or account is and how much is in it. And then how much is left over, because we may be able to just say, we'll put $2 million aside for this. You know, we eventually want to build maybe a path along Roscoe Road with the, you know, I'd much rather do it with the county, so maybe grants and county.
And the state.
Yeah, but, so you could have an account or a fund for grant opportunities or county collaboration projects, stuff like that, you know. I don't know how much money is sitting where and stuff like that. because,
makes sense.
Again, there's so many different branches.
We should look at that and see.
Like,
I
I don't know
imagine
how
it's
much is
tracking
in
that.
Like we were just talking, we didn't know how much was in
Sure.
the utility fund. You know, I want to see all that little stuff so we can see it grow and see where the money's at.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Still like the idea of the seed money though, that Carol just brought up. You know, if we can afford to start off with more than what we have here, I mean, if tomorrow comes.
No, I completely agree with that. And that's what I was saying was maybe we even have more that we can create other
Okay.
funds for grant opportunities and stuff.
So to be clear, the 250,000 that's in there under capital outlays for land purchase is exactly for the purpose that you all just discussed. It's for the opportunity to buy properties probably primarily along Main Street. I certainly don't want to, I don't know, I don't want to discuss viable business, businesses that are currently, but if things pop up and what, that look like they would make sense to.
Not like a takeover.
No, not a takeover.
Okay, we're retiring or, stuff like
If you pay attention, there have been some properties that are perpetually in a sales cycle. That'll be for sale and then someone buys it, tries to make a go of something and it doesn't work out and it's for sale and that's happened. There's even, in this, I have an open dialogue or started dialogue at least now with the family that owns what's it? Liberty Engineering, and I'm still going to try to work on them. Donations would be great, but if we need to make a purchase, we might need to make a purchase. But even along Bridge Street as it enters between 251 and Main, there's some properties that is perpetually turned over and never really seem to make a go of it. And there might be some opportunity to develop a really upscale parking lot / park that connects over and maybe has a walk that goes past the mural and connects back over to Main Street. This is another new point of pedestrian access. So it's a placeholder. And if I hear that people support that concept, support that idea, we'll leave it there. And as we examine any modifications of fund balance, perhaps that 250 as an initial seed money or, Kickstarter goes up, who knows?
And once we see the final Main Street plan that Fairground is developing,
Yeah.
we have a better.
I think we should almost schedule a special meeting specifically for that.
That we can see what would fit in.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
what's needed to implement that plan?
But to be specific, I am asking when I say public art, and I don't mind looking in another way, but this is, do we intend as a village to participate in the creative mural program again next year?
I personally say no.
Okay. If we do, again, these are ones that they generally happen as a public-private partnership. They ask for the municipality to sort of initially vouch for a dollar amount. And then as we did this year, the promise I made to you last year at this time was we try to split it 50-50, and that's what we're successful in doing. 50% of the project cost by Village of Roscoe, 50% of the private donation. If we're going to do it, I'm going to start the process that much earlier. And if we make a commitment to the board, I'll get us rolling right away.
I have one question. Is that why we joined the Rockford Chamber of Commerce?
We're not part of the Rockford Chamber of Commerce.
Well, we spent 50, just found this. I knew we joined a chamber. And it was put on a credit card and it was in June. I'll talk to you.
Yeah, okay.
It was in June.
We'll figure out what it was, but it's not the Rockford Chamber of Commerce. We're not a member of the Chamber of Commerce. So we'll figure out what it was.
I would say for the mural, for me right now, I don't know. I want to see where everything else is at first.
What about the first Rockford group or wherever with Mike Dunn Jr.? What's that?
Oh, R1?
R1.
R1,
Is that what you're talking about there?
probably one.
R1?
Soup.
I know,
I apologize.
he was looking at me. I went back and just in the last 2 weeks, because I saw a charge on a credit card for a chamber. And I thought it was State Line Chamber and it wasn't. It was in June, like
Okay.
June
Well, if you will look,
22nd.
I'm,
Maybe lucky I get the bills for June.
Well, I
we'll
did.
figure out what it is.
That's where I found it.
It's all it says is chamber.
Anybody else have an opinion about the public art?
I don't mind it, but I want a better picture.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, that's whatever, but I want a picture that's a real, I want to know what it is.
and colorful.
Yeah, I don't want Arizona. I feel like that's Arizona.
well, I think the other thing would be is
I know we're not artists.
the options of work.
Let's just say it's not high touch.
Yeah, he
I would-
checked on some of the,
I would say if we
Ideas I
could
get.
do it, to stick with the downtown area, so like Rockford Cabinet,
that would be great.
something like that. I would say to stick it within the same area. And try to, if we're trying to build up a downtown, then that's a starting phase of it, I guess, in my mind anyway.
There are multiple options for art in a downtown area. Out here where I'm stationed, they got the streets painted, the crosswalks painted, multiple colors, flowers. They got the crosswalks painted with like a mural where kids are riding bikes, like they're in motion on the crosswalks. Side of the buildings are painted with military heroes, Jimmy Doolittle, the space shuttle, a lot of stuff. Downtown Roscoe can be in a similar scenario. It's just choosing the right art and how it's applied. I think it's the biggest issue.
Even have movable things out of metal.
If my suggestion would be if we participated, that we try to vary the product, the offering, vary what we're doing. And so, yes, go in opposite direction. I think go smaller on the next one, find a smaller palette, and also thematically different. Do something that is more graphic design looking, something that's bolder, brighter, cleaner, neater. I think that I don't want to fall into any kind of pattern of any style of art or scale of art. And I think that we should strive for a variety. And yes, I think we go a drastically different direction if we do another one.
Just to give variety, like you said. And someday it'd be even cool to see the fire department do the back of their building with some big fire, mural, but things like that, just to eye catching.
So we're agreed, we're just leaving this as a placeholder, the project to be determined. Yes, no?
Sure.
That's what I would do.
That's fine.
Put the money there
Makes you smile.
so that it's available
Yeah.
if something becomes available.
That's
Basically what we're doing.
That's the ask. That's exactly what I'm asking. You. Yeah.
Placeholder.
And then we can look at what all, part of it is too, is we see they put up the national call, they do the call for artists. I can communicate them up front of past murals or other public works we've seen. This is something that we think we're looking for that looks kind of like this. And then they can try to steer us towards an artist that does that kind of work. And chart the path from the very beginning of it.
Yeah, if you find a spot and an artist and it's something we like, then we can look at it moving forward.
I still have this, and it's a significant, it's a highlighted in yellow still, and only now, I finally, Friday and yesterday, Monday, I got a better snapshot of all remaining work still to be completed, construction and any engineering efforts that'll apply towards our capital fund, and then got my first look at year end. That's why I revealed that fund balance of 5 point some million or whatever. I need to look now at, I need to finalize our capital fund year end balance, find out how much is carrying forward, how much we are proposing to do, and that's part of the conversation we're still having because we have not, I got a lot of stuff thrown in there. And that will reveal how much I need to transfer over. One thing though, I believe we have decided tonight is that money transferred over from the general fund to the capital fund will no longer be part of the calculus for the fund balance.
Correct.
That's a big decision to make tonight.
Before we move on, just above that, the equipment vehicle, which one is this?
That is my vehicle.
So we're carrying it here and not in the police department.
That's correct. I didn't make any, I don't have any proposed changes on the third page, but any questions people have?
Let's see.
I'm gonna take up, well, while we're on a page, maybe I just cut you off, Carol, I apologize, but something I need to find the right time to bring in. I want to ask the board, right now, when we do utilities, I know utility shows up as a bill in different departments throughout here, but right now, this building, and by the building, I mean the village hall and police department together are largely on one account for most of our utilities, for water, sewer, and gas. It's on one account. But we do have Ann split out the bill to try to assign a portion of it to the police and a portion of it to village hall. I'm gonna ask if we need to keep doing that. It's just an extra step that she has to do every time we apply these two accounts. It's one meter, it's one account. It all comes from the village. If it's important to you guys that you know that you're assigning some portion of that utility to the
Me.
one department or the other,
So where would you assign? it?
village hall, it would just all be village hall.
That makes sense.
It's just gonna be easier at bill time.
So you'll pull that dollar amount.
I will, exactly right.
Put it into the village.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. have a problem.
It's a zero effect in the budget. It's just a bookkeeping thing.
Exactly.
I just wanted
One
to.
less move she's gotta make.
Whatever makes it easier.
And the funny thing is, we did it we looked at different ways to split it based, number of people or what we ended up doing in a square footage. And they're virtually identical. I think when we did the overall square footage of Village Hall and the overall square footage of the police department, it was like, it's the pressure, it's repressurizing the dry system.
I mean, jackhammer your way
I
out.
don't think so.
That's right.
There's an air compressor in the room that's upping the air pressure system, the fire suppression system, that's the term.
It's a big file.
Anyway, I think it's almost like 49% or 48.5%. So it's almost a 50-50 split.
How much does the Secretary of State pay?
Same thing they do everywhere else.
Yep.
Okay,
Same as they always have.
Are you on page 3?
Yeah, I'm on page 3. Go ahead, Joe.
Under code enforcement,
Uh-huh.
can you add supplies or IT or however you want to put it? Because as we said last time, this is new, it may expand, there'll be some new or reoccurring costs associated with this, software needed.
Okay, since you brought that one up, supply, if you, I think we asked the same question last time. I upped Village Hall supplies to account for another human working on this side of the building. I don't know how to break that out.
Oh, well, I was thinking, every time this office needs another laptop or a printer or a telephone, something more substantial than paper and.
Okay. You're not comfortable with that just being under the Village Hall side?
I would like to see it individually here.
As far as software goes, it's interesting because we did empower our code enforcement officer to start looking for a better, more appropriate software platform to do that work. And started with researching websites that rank them and sent him a list of 7 or so. He looked into those. He has set up meetings with 3 different companies now. We've been doing some online meetings and working our way through. What's becoming clear about them though, is that anything we're doing has applicability and features far beyond just code enforcement. And it really, whichever company, whoever we go to do something like this, it will have a ripple effect throughout engineering and planning and zoning as well. It will redo how we do all of our permitting. Our zoning permits, our engineering review, our driveway permits, our construction within the right of way. It would take all of our permitting to an online platform where rather than having, and it would tie them all together. It would tie that data together and create workflows for the necessary people that need to review it and approve it. Make them more searchable, make them real data. What we have now are fillable PDFs. So anyone can go to our website. They can apply online, but all they're doing is filling out a PDF. And we basically get a piece of paper still. It's not data that's tied to anything. It's not integrated in any way. And there's a lot of better options out there, a lot of better ways to be doing it. So yes, I do think that code enforcement is leading us down the path to a new software agreement, but I think the village will utilize it more broadly than just code enforcement.
What of training and dues,
Yeah.
professional organizations? Do you see those in the future here?
I will ask. I don't know of any, but I will ask. Basically, I think the instruction is see if code enforcement needs to be more robust. Is that? I mean, that's-
Yes.
Yeah,
Your vision for it and
cool. Page 4, I emailed all of you this before. I just completely omitted it from the first draft, but I'm putting it under the planning department. Under consulting, we do have a line item already established there in consulting. That's where we last used that with House Seal Levine for the zoning rewrite. But I think we've all agreed that we want to enter into a new comprehensive land use plan. I had a soft quote done for that. That was 123,000, something like that. That was prepared in the middle of this year. We'll have to, at a number of that size, obviously we'll do a request for proposals and put that out for competitive bidding. I'll use the draft, the quote they gave me. It kind of lays out a good framework. And then Joe and I can take that and build up. There are statutory requirements of things we have to do in developing our comprehensive land use plan. So I'm putting 150 as a placeholder. We don't know it. I would put out to bid, but I know that I have
Makes
a
sense.
realistic quote for 123. So I'm going to put it at 150.
Absolutely.
What's the timeline for something like this?
At least a year.
Yep.
And when does our process of it start, I guess?
If
What do
we're,
you think?
we'll start the RFP over the winter so that we can, I'll try to award it right at the start of 2023.
Okay, just like, I guess, our meetings and stuff like that, when would we come into play in that, do you think? Because I know you have stuff
Yeah,
you
you would
do
have to,
beforehand.
think of it like a road project, really. You'll have to approve the RFP when it goes out. And then we should, that's whether we just make a recommendation. I don't know if we have to, if we're bound to go with the low cost provider or not, like a street bid or not. I don't know if we,
Maybe like a.
it's more like professional
Professional
services, like architect it
Like
is.
architecture
In
services.
fact, we might, do we have to do QBS based on this?
I believe we do.
Probably do. For those who remember, QBS is qualifications-based selection, and I'll bet this does fall under that. I'm almost
Well, it'll be the
certain.
same as when we did the
Which
zoning.
means you have to hire for professional consulting work, architecture, engineering, planning, I'm sure is going to fall into this. You have to hire based upon qualifications, not based on their quoted fee. Which means we ask people to submit their qualifications to, do we define the scope of work, the project we want them to do for us. These firms say, we can do it. Here's what we've done in the past. Here's our comparable work. Here's what we propose to do for you, the village of Roscoe, without telling us how much. We have to rank those. This is exactly what we did when we hired Strand to redesign Denali.
And how's Levine? For the
Pardon?
zoning rewrite.
Oh, you probably did with house, yeah, predates me, but yep.
Building architect,
Pardon?
PD architect.
Yep, PD architect, I'm sure, yep. And we rank them and then you went for a fee negotiation. If you come to an acceptable number, you're off to the races. If not, if you say, we can't get this number to what we want, they're crazy, then you start negotiating with the firm you ranked number 2. And then you can go on down to number 3. But the interesting is, once you get past number 3, you have to rebid it for a new scope.
It's worked really well for us, though. I think
know
when
it.
we've done this. We all sort of, recently, we've all looked at it independently, various parties who've been sort of
Good
part
score
of
sheet.
it. And we've scored it, and I think generally we've all come pretty close to the same rankings, and then we negotiate with them, so it works out, and we've had excellent, services.
Yeah. So
So,
you'll play a role in the selection of it, and that would be, we'll probably do that January, February, and try to get some other contract March.
Does their past work enter into this?
Absolutely, that's almost entirely what enters into it. That's how you're gonna.
I mean, just to put this out for bids, to me is dumb. We go with the low bid. I mean, that's,
No.
I would
it's
like, I
not.
would like to go on a ride to the moon knowing that the rocket was built by the low bidder.
Yeah.
Just,
it's not lowest bid, we'll get proposals,
No.
and then we'll rank those proposals and choose who we think is the most qualified company to do that. And then we'll negotiate the price. It may be the highest person,
So.
or maybe the middle person, lowest person.
Yeah, it literally
It's a
is.
sealed, yeah.
That's what it's called, QBS, qualifications-based selection, which means we can hire based on who we feel is most qualified. Not by who gave the
agree on the
cheapest
price.
price.
It doesn't have to
We
be.
won't,
I'm sorry,
we
I
won't actually
didn't-
look at the prices until we rank them, actually. I mean, it's very specific by statute, but we can't actually look at the prices or ask for the prices until we actually do our rankings first.
So roughly March is when we would actually
Yeah.
start working.
Moving on, Scott, would you tell us 2 or 3 things that we got from the Northern Illinois Council of Government this last year
Um,
for $2,500?
2 or 3 things. Then you're putting me on the spot, and I don't want to. I don't want to diminish the participation by not being prepared for that.
For next time.
Yeah, well, let's do a little. I'll do a little bullet point of what I think we got out of it. We can feel if it was worthwhile or not.
Thank you.
You bet. I would say that largely, and this might, whether there's value in this will vary from person to person, but largely it is having a seat at the table and working cooperatively and working interactively with the other entities in the county, knowing who's doing what and trying to make sure we're part of the overall picture. Now, I would say that it sort of tied in jointly with R1 expenses in this is making sure that we're able to, we have in the past, before we joined these entities, we had never had our local projects acknowledged or part of any regional plans, which is often a requirement in pursuing funding. Now, what I've had to do in the past in some grant applications is to try to hustle and get a letter from them where they would indicate they're not currently on what they call there's the TIP, the Transportation Improvement Plan, and R1 maintains that. And this board, the Council of Governments, votes on what gets added to that. I've had them write letters saying, we would add it, if this grant is awarded, don't worry, we'll add it on. Maybe that's good enough, but.
Down to village board expenditures, municipal officials' expenses. We visit this each year and we know IML gets more costly. I would suggest we bump this up, because who knows who wants to go in the post-COVID world.
Yeah, it's just budgeting a number anyway, right? 5,000.
Yes.
Agreed. Again, I don't have any proposed changes to you yet on page 5, which is largely public works. We're not, I do have $20,000 in for new subdivision signs in there specifically. And still have $25,000 for entry island landscaping. Carol's right. The only way we did Crystal Hills, it cannot support vegetation going back into it right now. We'll have to remove the roadstone to plant that. There used to be a big mound of dirt over top of it. It's also probably why those plants didn't do super great, because there was not a lot of soil depth for them. But when we took all the plant material out of that particular island, we also removed all of the soil and just put back a thin layer and mulch that were essentially at the top of curb level. But the roadstone is continuous underneath it, so there's like 3 inches of mulch and 3 inches of dirt and then gravel. So we're gonna need to pull that dirt and mulch back out and probably take some of the gravel out and mound the dirt back up again if we want to even do ornamental grasses or perennials or something in there. I like the idea of working some art in, that'd be great.
What about like a rock garden?
We can put some boulders, outcroppings in there. Well, I wonder what it might be a liability if someone drove into it.
I sent you a text of a company that I had remembered the name of, Creative Designs.
Okay.
Did that just come your way?
I don't have my phone.
Oh, okay. Oh, you can look at it
I
later.
will.
They make things all over the world, metal, and some of them are.
Would that be a liability?
All this kind of stuff.
To run into.
Anything might be. We have to, I've done some roundabout designs and people are very careful. As silly as it sounds, in Main and Auburn Street. If anyone's driven that roundabout, there's the walls and the columns and everything. I happen to design all of that. And to get that up, pardon?
You did that?
Yeah. To get, not the road geometrics, but everything above the ground was me. To get that approved, to be able to put those walls into it, we had to design that in such a way that those walls are completely unbonded and essentially function as breakaways.
Sure.
Even though they're masonry walls, they are not held together very, very well. And they're just, the walls themselves are secured to the base only by a keystone. So it's just really gravity. There's nothing, no reason. So if a car were to blast through those, it would blow that wall all to pieces instead of just crushing a
It's
car.
not advertisement.
I know.
Don't try it, people.
No, it's just,
They do.
we have to be mindful of what we're going into.
You could do the same thing with boulders. Real.
That's true. That's true.
Stuff up there.
Okay, what do you mean under public works, street lights should be in utilities? What's your thinking?
That was a question to me and Steve. I don't know why we're tracking that expense as a separate line item. But I don't care, it's fine. It's just that we pay a street light bill and maybe we're just itemizing it separately. It's fine. My understanding is that is what we pay ComEd for our street lighting bills. That's not buying new street lights. That's
No, I-
paying for electricity. And I'm not sure why that's not tracked in utilities.
The building improvements.
Yeah.
I did see in your breakout, a new roof for the existing
Correct.
works. And it said metal roof. Is the current roof metal?
No.
No.
Current roof is shingled. The new roof on the addition is metal.
Okay.
And thought would be to match and to go to metal, much longer life cycle,
Shall last a long time.
a lot longer.
But does the condition of the roof right now require immediate
It
replacement?
does. In fact, we've even had an insurance claim on it.
That's just roofs.
Pardon?
It says
Right.
roofs, so.
Because we're looking at doing multiple roofs throughout. Now here, and I think we have them in parks as well, though.
Yes. you
Right.
do.
But right now,
That's-
these roofs would be a metal roof on the Public Works building. Just another asphalt shingle roof on the shed that's in the police impound area. You don't need to do a metal roof for that one. And I believe it's a new roof for the salt shed as well. And I tell you the truth, I don't know if that's proposed as metal or shingle. But those would be the three roofs on the Public Works side of things.
All three of them have to be done.
No, the Public Works building has to be done.
Okay.
Probably the shed has to be done. I cannot speak to the,
Can we see the cost between
absolutely.
the building and the other two?
Troy, are you on?
Yes, sir.
Troy, do you want to speak briefly to the, was I correct on what I said? Are the roofs we're talking about, this is specifically Public Works building improvements. It's the it's the existing Public Works building. It's the shed in the police storage area and the salt shed roof. Is that correct?
That is correct. Both the Public Works building and the salt shed have the salt claim on it. The PW garage or the PD garage was this year, and we have actually a tarp over that because it blew off a bunch of shingles.
Okay, is the roof on the salt shed in disrepair? Is that an immediate need to repair? Or do a new one?
Yes, there's broken shingles on there and some of it's peeled back.
So yeah, we can itemize. So we are asking to do 3 new roofs and are telling you that the one's very small, but we are asking to do all 3 existing structures in Public Works, and we can break them down per.
Well, if they need to be done, I don't need to see them broken down, I guess.
Troy, were we proposing a metal roof for the salt shed or just asphalt shingles on that?
This asphalt. I have a breakdown right here. The PD garage was going off of the estimate that I got. It was $3,750 to $6,000. And the salt shed was $10,000 to $16,000. And then of course the metal roof was, the 120 or the 133, $750.
Big
Well, the estimates he had, one's 3,000 to 6,000, 7,000.
Depends on what materials you pick.
I get it.
That's going off of the estimate I got that it was going between $5 to $8 a square foot. So most of that I went on the high side.
Is something not sounding right to you in that line? Justin?
I think it's 133, 750. Is that what it was? For the Public Works building?
Sounds about right.
Troy, what number did you say for the Public Works building?
Stephanie was there.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Is something ringing wrong to you in there somewhere?
No, I was just
Oh.
stating a
Yeah.
statement is all. That's quite a. You double it.
Yeah.
I've never had to replace a roof, so.
Yeah.
It's fun.
If you're lucky, you never will. Let's see.
It's awful, awful.
I don't think there's any new trucks.
I hope I never have to do it, because every single
Just
person
back
says
to the
so.
improvements,
Yep.
back at Public Works, wasn't there something about replacing the heating and air conditioning, whereas?
Yeah, that was the Public Works, wasn't it?
Wasn't that also something that was critically needed? Wasn't a break.
Did we already do that? Troy, are we? I'm gonna go to the breakout. Troy, if you're hearing these questions, you can chime in. They're asking about HVAC. Was there HVAC replacements for?
Yes, there was HVAC replacement for the Swanson.
Okay, so not a Public Works.
Okay, so it's.
No, it's a Parks.
In Parks.
Okay, thank you.
So dropping down to Parks.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Equipment.
Help me remember, which of these things had we approved last year and we didn't get?
Loader.
The loader, front end loader.
Yep.
What is this 72-inch tiller?
What are you hearing her?
Yes, the loader should be here this month, in the middle of this month, unless it gets pushed back. The
He's asking about.
72-inch tiller is a PTO mount, which goes on the back of our one tractor that we have. And obviously it's 72 inches wide and it can break up the soil. We can replant different things like that. It's a lot more heavier duty than the little walk behind one that we have.
Just educate me. Where do you use this? Where do you use this device?
We can use it actually on the baseball diamonds. That if you go down really light to tear the weeds out, we can use it. Crystal Hills might be a good example. Once we get dirt in there, that we can mulch it up to get it nice and smooth for when we do plantings. We can do any of like where we use our sod cutter to take sod out to do projects, and you just retill the soil and plant. So it's nice and mulched up instead of really hard for the grass to grow.
I assume they'd be using it to prepare for any areas that were seeding, any areas that were disturbed by construction that they would seed.
We did not have anything this size or comparable. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
No,
Okay.
That's
And-
correct.
Okay, and what are the signboards for $45,000?
Those are actual electric message signs that we could trailer somewhere and leave. So if it was announcing
Oh,
fall fest, different traffic routing or announcing
bridge closed, whatever.
something's closed, we like to use them for mud volleyball, for fall festival. Right, the only one we have right now sits in the back of a vehicle and the vehicle has to be present and running. We can't drop it off. Or Pete, you can probably share these with you. Probably have some use for them too. Yeah.
I'm just curious, why 2? Not 1, not 5?
Either end of the project scope, that's the logic. You could, if you have a area of construction or road closure or something, you could hit either end of it.
Both
That's
ends of the
why.
road.
And then those trucks, the dump truck, so on and so forth, and the crew cab, all of those, were those things that we had decided, but we're still waiting to get, except for the bucket truck?
Yes, the 5,500 crew cab parks truck should be here. They said the end of November. And then the tandem dump is supposed to be here the end of next year, end of 2023.
Again,
Next year this time.
that's something we approved a year ago.
Well, we said it'd be 2 years.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
Nice.
Thank you.
Parks is mostly, Parks is obviously a subset of the Public Works Department, so it would, right now has 1 full-time employee and we assigned 2 summer part-time workers to the Parks Department. We're proposing to hire a new full-time employee at an entry level in the Parks Department.
So there'll be a supervisor for parks, is what you're saying? There'll be somebody that
Correct.
actually walks every park every week and
I'll let Troy speak to the responsibilities of the department heads, but yes, there'll be a supervisor.
somebody in
for us.
charge. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
When can we advertise? I know he still has another position open too, right? Is that one advertised?
Yeah, Troy, we could be seeking out, we're down a person in Public Works. We could be trying to hire someone in that right now. And then we're creating the adoption of this budget. We're creating the new position.
Would it be, could we advertise it like December and then hire somebody January 1 or? So,
Troy, are you comfortable with that?
I mean, I don't know how long it takes you to hire somebody.
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of holding off to see what gets approved. That way we could maybe put them off both on the same list to save money instead of putting 2 separate ones out.
Is everybody okay with a parks employee?
I think
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
needed.
I do.
Do you want us to
We're-
take a straw
We're running
poll?
behind.
Absolutely.
You want a straw poll for it?
Sure.
Yes.
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 Let's let's start advertising for them.
That person has to know how to snowplow.
Yes, one thing that we had talked about, guys, and maybe now, we should revisit whether or not we feel the parks employee needs to have a CDL. That has been an obstacle. What's that?
Well, you still gotta be able to drive
The truck.
the trucks and the trailer over
The
to
equipment that
the
he
equipment that he
provided.
needs over there.
Yeah, but
So,
if he drives just one of the 1-ton dump trucks with a trailer, he won't need one.
true.
So if he just has one of the little 1-tons, he can run around it. He
Right.
can still plow with that too, so.
I'd rather get more.
Seems to be
bang for
harder.
our
to
buck.
get
I would
seat
too.
belts, but-
I'd rather keep the requirement.
I'd rather have more bang for our buck. That's just my opinion.
Sounds like he needs to have a CDL.
Sounds like, yes. Emphatically, I would say.
That's like hiring a cop without a gun.
I don't know, that's quite the same.
You know,
We would like to replace the dock system at Riverside Park. Troy, is 50,000 a placeholder or is 50,000 an educated guess? Is that based on any solicitation of any pricing right now, indicative pricing?
Can we,
Yes, I talked with a couple people and they didn't get a chance to come out to look at it before putting it in our budget, but he said $50,000 would be a good estimate, for a placeholder.
can we have some more specific information about this? Or 2 weeks from now? What it would look like, what it all entails? Why does it cost $50,000? Are there alternatives, that type of thing? Rather than just somebody saying, oh, yeah, I think you can do it for 50 grand.
Splash pad, yes, the answer is yes. We could still purchase, much like we did with playground equipment for Chicory Ridge. We were able to get some fire sale end of year stuff on equipment.
That was a
we
great
then
buy.
installed. What?
That was a great buy.
It was a great buy. And then you just bid the installation only without the equipment and without the markup on equipment. Separate. That is how I was proposing to handle a Leland Park splash pad, and curious as to think about that.
I went down after Carol talked about Porter Park. And I would rather see us shelve the splash pad maybe another year or two and put that money into Porter Park. Because the cabin does have some rot around the one end. It needs restaining. It could have some updating done to it. Furnace looks rough. The humidifiers aren't working anymore. The logs are splitting because of the lack of humidity. I'd like to see us get Wi-Fi down there so we can track water breakages. I think there's something we could do down there. So I would rather see this money rolled into the cabin, an existing asset to the village. And then we can revisit this splash pad at another date. Because we had it for a whole year and no one really seemed to care that it never got built, so.
Can we have a conversation here and establish a list of priorities? I agree with you that it's a gem that we are allowing to disintegrate.
Yes.
And it needs a lot of work and we ignored it far too long. To me, that would be a greater priority than spending $50,000 on a dock this year. We could do the dock next year, for example. I'm just looking at priorities and saying, the splash pad, we've already delayed 1 year. I would say do without the outdoor fitness station. Trying to pick up money, to swing toward Porter Park. It's just a matter of trying to establish priorities. So I agree with you. To me, Porter Park is important and inside and out and upgrading everything. We spent all that money in the parking lot and then we're just allowing this to disintegrate.
We already have a placeholder of 50,000 on Porter Park. Right?
Yes, that was someplace. Yes.
Yeah, I saw it somewhere.
Yeah, it was in a breakout for renovations.
So, I mean, but I did. And I think it's appropriate. And I was down there in the spring. I talked to Scott about it, knowing it needed work.
We need to get a log cabin company to come down and look at it and see what we need to do and what we need to do, fix and save and update. And that's why I still say we just roll that down, but whatever we do, we have to do it to that facility. It's degrading and we need to catch it now before it gets to the point where it's gonna cost us $500,000 to fix it.
Well, you've got money invested in water hookup and in septic. I mean, if you want to look, we've got some serious money already invested in that facility.
Yeah, which we have nothing in a little dock. Well, the dock they use, splash pad, nobody even knows about it. It's an easy place to pull from. The exercise equipment, you're right, another easy place to pull money from. So maybe we get a company in, have them look at it, give us some ideas, and then we can see where what we need to pull out of it, but I think we need to definitely get something going in that cabin.
Wasn't that put the cart before the horse? We start eliminating all these other projects before we even know what it's gonna cost to put in Porter Park.
Well,
Can we find out what that cost is?
Yeah, we can
Where we can get-
definitely get the cost, and then if you want to rearrange it then, it's just long as you know that there's money there, and we need to move it around. It's gonna cost money to fix. 'Cause like
Absolutely.
Carol said,
But
Sue
the-
said, I mean, anybody who walked down there saw it needs, it's gonna need restanding, it needs to be retightened. The furnace, the humidifier, like I said, it'd be nice to have Wi-Fi down there, it'd be nice to get the locking system on the.
I agree with everything you're saying, Stacy. Before we know what it costs, let's not do away with projects that we've already.
I'm gonna share a little,
But he's talking about buying equipment right now, and I don't want him to spend that money right this minute if we're gonna have to put it down there. Because the splash pad, for one thing, and the dock and the exercise equipment, that's stuff that nobody even knows yet, right? No one's ever seen it. We're not replacing, we're not fixing, except for the dock would be replacing, but at least the other two, they're non-existent. So I'm saying, if you want to drop it into something called contingency, and then we redistribute it later on, that's fine too. I just don't want to start spending on a splash pad that we don't even have when we know we need money down there.
Well, to be devil's advocate, Scott had just said there might be an opportunity to buy whatever it is that we're going to use for the splash pad at a reduced price. And I think we can do that as well as begin the serious work for Porter Park cabin. Scott had already put in, I'm looking at the breakout,
I am
Scott, that 0507130.
yeah, I've been trying to interject here for a little while to say I have bad news.
Yeah.
I have this breakout page in your binder.
Yeah.
I don't have that entire line. We have traditionally not had an account line for capital improvements to buildings in parks. I needed to add this line as a new line to our budget, and I have not done so. So that entire page
Of
of
$230,000.
$230,000 is not currently in this budget.
I see.
The breakout is here,
Breakout.
but I didn't create the line and put it in the damn
It's-
budget.
It's in
So
your,
we spent 230,000.
Your
more, I
book.
want to.
where it
Okay,
says 50,000.
okay.
Which I don't relish sharing with you, but that's
It's
the
not in the budget, it's in.
reality of it.
Shingles
I
at
haven't got to that.
Riverside, Porter, Leland and
Yeah, so that-
Swanson, 120,000.
Yep, so Troy, I apologize. Troy gave me this. These are building improvements, capital building improvements in the Parks Department specifically, and it's new HVAC system, it's new HVAC at Swanson for 20,000, shingles at Riverside, Porter, Leland, and Swanson. These are largely for picnic shelters and pavilions that could total as much as $120,000. Leland Park bathroom restoration of 15,000, a $50,000 placeholder for Porter Park cabin restoration. And I do believe much needed Leland Park electrical improvements to the tune of $25,000. Those combine to $230,000 in capital building improvements.
Can we have a review and establishing priorities here as to which are critical and need to be done this year versus those that? can-
Not very few of this we're proposing this year, unfortunately.
Can't get another year out of the house.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe. Well, that's what we're, I mean, I don't know, we're talking, but that's kind of what we're doing now. So what I'll, maybe they're too spread out. Justin made a point earlier about there's, over 10 pages of the budget and with projects and purchases and stuff spread out into different departments on different pages all over. Maybe it's more difficult to track and evaluate and compare. Why don't I summarize every project, every building project, every park project, every road project, boom, boom, boom. So you see,
And give it a ranking of 1 to 5 as to need, 1 is falling down, 5 is falling down, it's got to be done this year, or 1, 2, and 3, absolutely necessary, can be delayed. Because if we need to move things around, at least we have some perspective here.
Hey Troy, do you have someone coming to look at the cabin?
I have not called anyone yet. I want to go over with Scott because I know he has a guy, someone else has a guy, and I did see when I was down there yesterday, there was a stamp on one of the logs. And I was gonna try to clean that off to see if that's who actually built that log cabin, to maybe try to get a hold of them if they're still in business.
Oh, that was years ago.
My guy, there's a bunch of guys, a company that I know that does log cabin construction up in Sturgeon Bay. And I did reach out to them and
I
they're
went to
not,
high school with 3 guys that build them all day long in northern Wisconsin. It's not gonna help you here.
right.
Jan still works at Public Works, right?
Cool.
Jan?
Yeah.
Just turn Jan loose and tell her to find someone to get them down here and have a look at.
But you're right, an evaluation needs.
Then we'll have a better idea of what we really need. Maybe it doesn't need that much work, but maybe.
And it may be something that can be done in stages, first year, second year type of thing.
Okay. That's good. I kind of, then for now, that puts a pin in through parks and largely through projects till we get to capital.
So we'll see draft number 3.
Public safety. We have a capital project, obviously, and we've reached another green square. There aren't many of them, but I did bump non-capital equipment up $10,500. We have an officer who will be part of regional county, Winnebago County SWAT program. And with that comes needs for different gear and equipment than what is typically used by our officers here. Sam is here if you have any questions about that, but for now, I've put that in non-capital equipment. If you think it's more appropriate in uniforms or something, we can figure out where to put it, but I just want to make sure that an additional 10,500 was represented in this draft of the budget.
Do we have to equip a car?
It's
Or just-
simply the officer himself. You're talking about equipment such as like, heavier body equipment, helmets.
Yeah, I don't know if you had like already have that in a car, or just a bag that he grabs and goes, or.
Oh, yeah, eventually what it would be is like all that would then be custom to him.
So one of the squads is, he would grab that
No,
and
no,
go,
no, it would
or
just be basically a bag. that
just
he
a
would
bag
grab.
of equipment.
Yeah, and if he was off duty or something, I mean, he would take his vehicle down. They have like, armed personnel carriers and stuff like that. And stuff like that, they travel. So-
They had them here, they were using them in training on the Pearl Street House.
Do you have a timing on that yet, Tim?
A timing on it, he just had he's done all the physical agility so far, he's passed that. And he's, considered the oral board. From what I heard, the county didn't have a great turnout from that on the first testing, so they're gonna try to do another one. Some of the agencies, I guess, didn't get the memo about it. But he has gone through basically all the way through the process right now. He's just waiting them to get word.
So is this anything like that drug thing we used to do, that drug enforcement, where they pay part of their salary?
Personally, no. This is all 100% like us belonging to the SWAT team. We would pay his any overtime and we approve that also. And that the equipment that we need to buy, some of that equipment also would possibly be in a specialized firearm. Like, looking at possibly a sniper.
Have we done the agreement yet? Have we brought an agreement?
What's
for
that?
SWAT? Have we done the agreement in the board for SWAT yet? I'll talk to you about afterwards, yes.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you about afterwards, because there's,
Yeah, I think no, the IGA has not been brought through yet.
I don't think it's.
No, it
yeah,
hasn't,
Okay,
because I think you had it with Roy, right?
yeah, I'll talk to you about afterwards then. Okay, I think we're the same, okay. I wasn't sure if I was behind on something, but I'll talk to you about afterwards.
No, the IGA that was signed is the MCAT team.
Correct.
So IGA, from what I understand, the IGA is in its final steps. But
I'll talk to you about afterwards.
So he would go assist other areas when called out for SWAT. Is that what?
yeah,
Well, it says you'd be a part of the team.
yeah, anything within, yeah, right, whatever Winnebago County Sheriff's Department responds to. Their idea was to expand their team.
So if he's on duty, he would be called down.
Or even,
Well, he has to seek approval from the supervisor first, which would be, he would have to call me first in order to get approval. So it'd be if he was on duty, if we had enough personnel working in the village at the time, then he could respond.
Okay.
If not, let's say if it was him, the patrol officer only working, then no, he's not gonna respond. So,
This coming for the board, you guys will have this, we can talk about, we got some bringing you, but there's some issues right now, we're trying to work out with the county about who's gonna be responsible for what, liability and
when you
insurance.
have all that, bring it to us. You don't need to beat it up right now.
Absolutely. Yep.
Keep
Yes.
talking in circles.
As we're looking for dollars, we're finishing this. I'm looking through the notebook and the police department section. There's something here about a Polaris vehicle. Where is that in this line item? And I would like to propose as we not spend money on that. That's $30,000 we can put toward Porter Park, Kevin.
I think we'll find the money for Porter Park cabin. Is the Polaris for a utility vehicle for the officers to use?
So the Polaris, it's outfitted, that included in the price is like lights, wrapping, all that kind of stuff. The idea was with that was a few different uses as far as my volleyball, years we've been able to get a couple more courts to donate the last couple of years because of supply and everything.
Right.
That hasn't been as much, anything that has to do with like, if there was a response needed in a field or something like that, that would cover that.
So once a year used. We've been buying, I'm not disagreeing with you or arguing with you. I'm just talking aloud. We bought so many small vehicles within Public Works. It's just hard to imagine that we don't have something in our possession that could serve this need or we could get from some other place. So in my opinion, only spending 30,000 plus on something that would be used twice a year and maybe might be used other places isn't a necessity at this time. It would be a nice thing to have, but not a necessity.
The gator could be used.
So I would propose we just eliminate that and
The
swing
Gator's
that
not
money
a,
to something else.
Gator's not a police vehicle. Not a public one. I understand what you're saying, what you want to use it for.
There is a breakdown too in the book as far as what all comes on that.
But is it included somewhere here, Scott?
I think so. I'm trying to find it. But I'm making a note that we revisit the Polaris. I don't know. I'm just gonna make a note. to go back.
We did the park stuff. We can just leave it as a placeholder like we did the park stuff.
Right.
I'm just making a note to verify.
That it's dollar amounts included.
Yep.
And
I have March, I think I have clear marching orders on how to represent a lot of these larger purposes requests throughout the general fund. for the large building and park projects. If you have questions, I'll certainly answer them, but I would like to almost jump into capital projects too, because that's where the other huge numbers all lie. We're not, what's that? 10. We're not proposing any motor fuel projects, motor fuel expenditures this year, except for purchasing salt, so there's no motor fuel MFT projects proposed. But capital fund, we have a bunch right now. Now, it's good, perhaps it's good that I put this huge other one in there, because maybe if it comes out, it's something we can pull back out. Actually, engineering is wrong at the top, so I need to revisit that. There's not $125,000 left on that design. It is significantly lower than that, so I can revise that number down, 125,000. I'm looking at page 10, capital fund expenditures. Road infrastructure projects, 850 is what's being proposed, 850,000 is what's being proposed right now as year one of the 2023, year one of the 5-year streets plan. It is essentially lots of roads throughout Sagewood. And there's a map. If you go to tab 7 in your binders, five years worth of projects are broken out. 2023 has a price tag of 847,333. If you flip a couple pages back, you'll see the map. So Upper Ridge, all of Upper Ridge Way, almost all of Applegate, all of Sawmill as it wraps around High Stone down in Nestlewood. In anticipation of wanting to do a lot of road work, I had asked Brandon Fairgraham to not only, in addition to the 5-year plan they put together, but give us another add-on list, give us another chunks of projects that we could do should funding be available, should we decide to do so. I grabbed a big piece of that. I grabbed the downtown additional work. Again, there's a map that corresponds to that. It's all of Chestnut, all of Broad Street, all of Harrison. That's another 819, 836. So you can see right now, this budget proposes to do almost $1.7 million worth of residential road work next year. That'd be great. We'll see, like as we're going through all these other projects and as we're evaluating. But right now, this budget has that in it. Right now, this budget has 850 plus 819 in residential road work in it. We've held $50,000 as a Class D patching goal. I still have the police department garage in here. That is I bumped that up 30%. I have added almost $500,000 now, 467, 740. We have an estimate for doing traffic signals at Meadow Sweet and Roscoe Road of $331,000. Main Street parking lot, not Lort. We've talked about that for 3 or 4 consecutive years. This is the potential parking lot that we do jointly with the Prossers. That's still in there. And then the $1.4 million would be an appropriation towards a sanitary project, the Willow Creek expansion, I think it's called, Willow Creek trunk line. That would be done jointly with Four Rivers, using the American Rescue Plan. The McCurry Road trunk sewer. There's an exhibit there as well. Those are big ticket items. There's a lot of stuff. There's $4.1 million worth of work sitting right there. It'll go down a little bit because of the engineering number is too high on Main Street, but let's talk about these projects a little bit. Let's talk about
I could.
Yeah.
The traffic signals, I say we take that out. Try to do it in conjunction with the path along with the county. Maybe it is a county collaboration project. Part of it. I said 5 years, maybe we put a little bit of money aside each year for the next 5 years.
Again, if you remember, we met with the county engineering department about that. They support the idea. They think it has merit. They can't help pay for it right away. They're willing to start to put it into their programming to do a cost share down the road. So they basically said, if you want to do it right away, pay for it yourself. If you want to wait a couple of years, we'll try to help pay for it.
And the police department garage, I think it's a good thing, but I don't think it's right now. That's just me. And then getting into the residential streets program, I'd obviously like us to do year one, but if we could maybe look at doing year 2 design next year, so we can get a year ahead. We're not paving in November.
Interesting.
That's just a thought I had. So we would pay for the design a year in advance. The following year, we would build the roads out and then keep that patterns.
Keep that
going.
pattern, so always design.
Right, so you're always a year ahead in design. And all the projects can go out, you know, February 1st or whenever you decide to put them up for bid. Instead of November. But, or getting built in November, putting them out in August, like, just trying to get us a little bit ahead and a little bit off,
Yeah.
more off. the right. So,
Well, perhaps we might be able to still do both the Sagewood and the downtown once we
Mhm.
eliminate some of these other things and make some of the adjustments that we had talked about earlier. I would agree with you, Justin. The police department garage would be nice to have, but it's not a necessity as opposed to the streets. And the traffic signals, if we can get someone else to help us have a comprehensive plan as to what that area is going to look like, so postponing that. And
if we put a path along there and we just throw streetlights up, now we're gonna have to go back and
right.
readjust the streetlights for a crosswalk and everything else.
But I would like to be able to do as many residential streets as because that's what most people crab to us about. And that's what people see. And that's what they directly benefit from.
Maybe we just do the roadway plan in advance, and if we want to do extra, we do the breakouts, you know, along with it, but then at least that main plan is already
Oh,
designed.
I have no problem with that. I'd like to plan for two of them so
Okay.
that we would do two of them next year.
Okay.
If the dollar amounts, if we can conjure up the dollars for it.
Well, we
Is that
have
something-
the dollars, guys. I'm sorry, Justin, I just want to spit this out live, because I have my finger on a number that I want to read.
Right.
With all of this stuff in there, you know, with both of the big chunks of residential streets in there, we still have a fund balance of 3.5 million. Now, I blew 230,000 in there somewhere, so we have to count that against it. But to the extent that you're talking about deferring any of these projects, all you're doing is, you know, which is good, but all we're doing now is just increasing the reserve, increasing the fund balance. You know, we have enough money to do all of this. We have enough money to do all of this and still have $3.5 million surplus.
Well, we do and we don't. We don't know what Porter Park's going to come in at. We
Right.
don't know what the splash pad equipment's going to come in at. So you feel confident we can do it all.
Yeah.
I would like
Fair.
to see it when all the numbers are revised here, that what we actually see and that we establish a priority list and we just go through as far as if we've got 15 items on our list and we get 10 of them done for that $2.5 million, then boop, there we go. And then the next,
Is
the
when,
next year.
for the residential streets, also.
Yeah.
Do we want to keep doing the roadways that we're doing them, or do we want to go with our new rural standard? Because I would say that intersection that we did out in Chicory Ridge is a night and day difference. Maybe we just do the intersections, concrete edge treatment. But every other intersection has gravel. You know, it's a hazard for people riding bicycles or motorcycles, you know, stuff like that. So,
Anything that we can do,
you know,
I would-
Public Works has got to go out there and clean it up 4 times a week. So
whatever makes it functional and aesthetically better and less maintenance for us, I'm all for.
right. So
It's all a balance of, it's a decision you guys make. It's how many feet of roadway can you get for the amount of money you have, right? And obviously do it, so yeah, it's better with the concrete.
Right.
How much can you do if you're doing that everywhere?
can he
Maybe
give
at the
us-
turning motions, maybe that's the solution. Anywhere there's a turning motion where people are cutting the corner and dragging that gravel into the road, do the concrete draw those?
Can he show us the price difference between the two and just one of these plans?
I think so,
we can
easily,
kinda Just be
yes.
like, yes or no.
Yes.
Shot, it's not that big of a difference.
Well, I mean, like full road curb, you
No, I
know,
get it.
concrete versus just intersections, something like
I
that.
Hey, Brandon,
We shouldn't.
I don't know how much of a difference it is. Maybe it's
Yes, can you hear me?
1,000 or
Right now,
Right.
your
We've always done the.
residential
lowest common
streets
denominator of
cost estimates don't take into account any of the new concrete edge treatment. Would that be correct?
That is correct. That is utilizing the aggregate shoulders.
Right.
Not just the wedge shoulders, but the aggregate cord out shoulders that are a little bit more neat that we've incorporated the past couple of years.
So here are the asks. Here's you and Fairgrounds task in the next 2 weeks is one, to take a look at, just for reference right now, grab years 1 and 2. Just grab 2023, 2024, and show what the cost estimates would be if we had that treatment along every linear foot of it.
Okay.
And then see how much would it add to the project if we just did, treated the intersections that are included within these scopes of work. And we did the intersections like we just did in Chicory.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
But
Just one.
yeah, like we did it into one intersection. It was that was the only full crossroad intersection we had in the project scope there. And so it was a good case study to do,
What?
and it's better.
Right.
The busiest one, that's.
Yes.
Is
It looks
there-
great.
Because it's such a new roadway, is there a way to go back and do the intersections? Or does that have to be done before it's paved?
You have to put the concrete in before you can hear the
That's
asphalt.
what I figured.
Otherwise you lose your base.
If we design 2 years worth of projects, a full year plan and then a bump out, is Fairground gonna be able to do 2
I don't know.
years worth of that, or do we need to hire a secondary consultant?
That's a
just for
very
that
serious
year?
conversation we have to have with Fairgrounds.
They'll do anything. for pay.
Think.
But it'd just be 1 year, you know, like maybe we need to bring a second
I know.
person on.
Definitely be big party and stuff.
Okay, so coming attractions, Scott.
We've set them all night. Coming attractions,
Are you going to send it out in advance or present it in 2 weeks?
I'll present it as I get it. As it develops. I can't, there's work involved in this. So the first thing I'll do, here's the first step is to simply organize them all into functional subdivisions of projects. And then as we fill in the costs for each of them, the ones we know now, we'll put in. The ones we have to drill down on, you'll have a question mark, and then as the question marks get filled in, give you new versions.
Well, it should help you establish what's our everyday expenses versus just the random things we're throwing in.
So make sure you take a couple days and put your phone on silent.
And Troy's gonna help you out by doing research on your park
Yes.
cabin and the dock.
So that way you get it.
I don't even know my business. Here we go. Is there any old business?
No, not a question, just, I guess for Joe, still on track here sometime to approve minutes from executive session.
Yes, we have those from. That, did you have?
Sometime
Yes.
in the future when we're not doing
Yes.
budget. It's,
Correct, yes, we have.
Any public comment? Let's do an executive session.
Motion to adjourn.
Doesn't involve
Second.
pizza.
Motion by trustee Dunn, second by trustee Petty. Clerk, please call the roll.
Gustafson,
yes.
Petty, yes, John,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Malaco,
Yes.
Block.
Yes.
Tony, it's only 10 to 8 there. What do you got all night?
No, I can't work over 12 in this building.